market is bear. The market is bearish, and it's just red. Now, but so some people bad time for the market. But you see, we look at the fundamentals of most of these companies we'll be discussing today. The fundamentals are strong. So one at the technical aspect of the price in relation to the volume. Is it true as it stands now? Now, today is a knife analysis, and we have 5 companies and one other companies. So we have 5 of them that will be usual. I have brought his chats to him because his clips on the virtual round of applause. Welcome, Mr. Kanem.
Thank you.
Welcome to Club.
Thank you.
This is the time to know who is really an experienced stock investor. And see what is happening in the market first.
Market is red today, especially for the
red
for the full gas. Before now, I still want to reiterate what I had said earlier. In the month of May, for those that are following this channel, I said it that June would be a red month. It was almost difficult to understand because May was such a good month, and
we had green
everywhere, and so people find it very difficult to believe when I said that June is going to be a red month. But I mean, when you have been in this business for a long time, you know that
June is always red.
That's just what happens.
So is it a recurrent event, or what's actually happening?
No. For some names, especially the Fugas, we've seen the NGX, the All-Share Index has gone down, and the reason is because the Fugas. Remember, the All-Share Index is not equal weighted.
Yeah.
So it's actually market cap weighted. So because of that, that's why you see that most of these names, the Fugas have gone down, and they have gone down with the All-Share Index.
Okay.
And so particularly the Fugas, and I'm going to start with Access Core. Access Core is actually a holding company, and of course, 10th of June this month, that's 10th of this month, the CBN released a new guidance, or a draft copy of a new guidance on holdcos, which actually aims to ensure that there is some kind of unbundling of the holdcos, especially the subsidiaries under holdcos, to be directly administered by the holdco itself, instead of having subsidiaries. For example, Access Bank, Access Core would have Access Bank as a subsidiary, and then you have other subsidiaries. The minimum regulatory capital of all the subsidiaries. These have actually made investors, because I mean, for some of those, what we used to have is that most of these holding companies have subsidiaries that are actually not doing well.
Okay.
And so what they really do is that they use the capital base of one of the subsidiaries to actually cover for the rest. So even if one of them falls short, let's say the insurance arm falls short of the minimum capital requirements, then you use the bank capital to foreshadow that.
Now we're having a lot of messages, but before we actually take those
zone, which I like so much. If you look at the charts, you realize that this is a very strong zone that has been defended a number of times. If you look at 20, for instance, 20 is a zone that has been, this particular zone from 24 all the way to 20 is a zone that has been defended a number of times by the bull. ₦20 per share. So if you think like an investor, you realize that there is no incentive for you to sell out at this point.
Okay.
Because if you sell, you're already booking your loss.
Okay.
I mean, this is a tier 1 bank.
The fundamentals are strong.
The fundamentals are strong. This bank is sitting on 52 trillion naira in assets, in total assets. So it's a strong bank. Their earnings, if you look at the A4 2025, earnings growth was good. The only thing that actually was a very bad thing for them was the impairment charge, which was up about 114%. Okay. However, speaking technically, this is a very strong zone. So I was actually looking at anything between 23 and 20. I still have other limit orders, but today I had to buy Access Bank because if you look at this this is an area of consolidation, and that means I expect it to stay here for a very long time as the bulls and the bears try to battle it out here. Okay. That's why I bought Access Bank today. Now, Access Bank, the idea is that most likely they might have to go to the public to raise money, and if they are raising money, there's a very high chance that they will raise money at a discounted valuation, just to encourage investors to bring money. As they raise money to actually some of the shortfalls of their subsidiaries, we expect the price to still go down. That's order. I think I have one at 20.07. I have another. I mean, their payment charge was 79 billion. Yeah. Down from 500 resumes paying dividends, then you are going to have a very good position for Access Bank. Okay. Then finally on Access Bank, you have to also understand that Dangote refinery coming in, the banks are going to be very instrumental. Banks are going to be very big in terms of facilitating trade. And Access Bank, of course, one of the banks that provided a lot of guarantee for Dangote refinery was Access Bank. So Access Bank stands to benefit a lot from.
I know I've told you before that Access Bank is actually a penny stock. Sorry for that. I know we've said this before. At this point, I'm here to correct you. I think at this point, Access Bank is on his way of actually making good at this particular year.
So I'm here to correct you that Access Bank is not a penny stock. Okay. Not just Access Bank is not a penny stock. Access Bank itself is a very strong bank. The thing is, of course, we've had the bank. I've identified a few of them, and the Access Bank could not pay dividends because of the huge endowment charge, which the bank wants them to handle first before receiving payment of dividends. Nigerian banks are defined by dividends. That's what they are. Yes. From the banks that they are making, from the good names they are making, they are good because of dividends. Okay. And what Access Bank is just saying today, this cash will reverse. Alright, so
now, we are hoping that will actually happen, and will give investors confidence to actually invest in this. Now, is it in a good buy position?
That's what I just bought.
You actually bought today?
Yeah, I bought.
I can attest to that.
Yeah,
alright. Now let's look at MTN.
Okay. So MTN is MTN Nigeria is actually a name that for me is a behemoth when it comes to the MTN Nigeria. Is a behemoth when it comes to the communication space. And I told you something. You see, banking, telecommunication, these are some of the biggest performers when it comes to MTN. You have MTN, you have Intel Africa. They're number one. Content consumption is very high. Look at what MTN talked about. Their average consumption per subscriber is 8 gig. Think about that for a second. 8 gig. So their MTN is making way more money from data than from calls. And as artificial intelligence, as AI permeates, more people will need data to really be able to interact with AI tools. And we've seen a number of companies that have pivoted into AI. In fact, AI is almost like a requirement now. That means that the penetration of internet access and internet-enabled devices will continue to grow, and this will benefit MTN number one and Airtel. Okay. And remember, the other day I actually worked on something for you. MTN is cheaper than Airtel. Yeah, MTN is cheaper than Airtel. I know it's come down from over 900, but actually I had told you that MTN will correct, because that figure can declare its interim dividend, naira per share. Okay. But guess what? In the next 1 month, we are going to be sitting around talking about. We're going to be talking about earnings calls, and Nigerians, investors, especially those that are hunting for dividends, are always listening to earnings calls to see who is most likely going to pay dividends and who is not paying. So MTN has benefited from that. It is a very strong play when it comes to telecommunications, when it comes to data, and so we expect MTN to continue to do well.
But there are so many liquidity gaps.
Yes, there's so much of liquidity gaps, which for me it's a strong position. Let me go to the weekly so you appreciate it more. Now, if you look at the weekly, you realize that we did not have a good entrance into the demand zone actually. So we still expect some downsides actually. But remember, even if you look at what you have here, you have equal highs, and equal highs represent liquidity. So which is most because this is the reason why I had predicted a further downward movement was because this is, if you look at this is a bearish engulfing candle. So this actually represents a very strong selling momentum. So that a lot of people, I told you, a lot of people actually went into this stuff because dividend was to be paid. And when dividend is paid, guess what people do? They exit immediately and I cause the downdraft. But again, if you look at, I'm targeting this. I had in a previous podcast targeted this, told you I'm targeting this this zone. Yes. And then once it taps into this demand zone, it actually tried to, but it did not do it exactly. Though it has actually done more than 50%, but I always like to put it right at the zone.
Do you wait for another pullback before?
I actually still have limit orders down there. Yes, at this from 700. I have a limit order, and you will not believe I still have a limit order somewhere around
650.
Yes.
Okay.
I still have.
So we are expecting them to come down.
So I'm expecting MTN to come down, but if the event that doesn't come down, of course, because this was, like you say, this is more like an institutional footprint. At least by the way, this is the last point. This is the last point that actually produces this high. So I believe that this is a place that best will actually step in to protect the price action. So that's why I'm looking at putting my limit order there. Okay. But that is for the technicals. But for the fundamentals, like I said, MTN is a very strong play. And of course, you see in terms of content creation, in terms of consumption of YouTube. I mean, YouTube has deemed Nigeria as one of the countries, not just in Africa, but around the world that consumes the content. Yes, so so that actually represents a very serious opportunity for MTN. Even though MTN has some, because I have to be very fair here, MTN has very strong competition. I mean, Tesla is talking about producing phones that will connect directly to Starlink. Starlink is actually getting more footprint across Nigeria. That's a direct competition for MTN. There are also companies that are producing fiber optic network connection. So that also is also a headwind for MTN. But I believe that the fact that the AI revolution is like a rising tide that lifts all boats. So I think most of the companies, especially those in telecommunication, will make success.
All right. Now, let's look at another one. Let's say ICO. Let's look at ICO Insurance.
Okay. ICO Insurance is an insurance play. I think we had talked about ICO Insurance, and the reason why I had mentioned ICO Insurance is that the deadline. Okay, so look at this. The deadline for the recapitalization is just around the corner. Yeah. I want you to look at the price action for ICO. You've seen it has actually gotten to that support zone, and this support zone has held for a very long time. Now, I believe that ICO Insurance. Why am I putting my limit order down here? Is because I believe that this support zone will be breached. Okay. It will be breached. Speaking fundamentally, insurance companies have to raise capital to meet with their capitalization. And for you to raise capital, you have to do either a public offer or a right issue. If they're doing right issue, they will have to actually give at a price that they discount to the market price, and that takes the discount down there. So once this, remember, if you speak as a technical analyst, then you realize that once this is breached, then it actually, there's a serious downside, because a lot of people must, especially traders, have their stop losses put around just below this. That's those traders are in long position have their stop losses just below this support zone. And what that means is that once that breaches, the buy order, that is a long position, becomes a short position. When a long position is stopped out, it becomes a short position. Combined with institutions or institutional players or institutional traders entering the long position or the short position, or some buy stops or some sell stops being triggered, that will push the price down.
So if you were to enter this particular stop,
I would have actually, the first point I would enter. This is not up to 50% of the entire move. This is still, for me, it's still premium. So what is the entire move for me is from here to here.
Okay.
So if you look at from here to here,
that's to what?
That is from here to
2.
Sorry, to 2.0.
Okay, 2.0.
1.61 actually.
Okay.
So if you look at that, that tells you that for me this is the range. So this is actually not a discounted point. This is on the weekly time frame. This is still a premium
okay, so you're waiting for it to get to what?
So no, at this point, if it can get as much as this point, this is actually like the midpoint. So if this is a midpoint, so you're looking at, if it takes out this, then the next point is actually this.
2.20.
Yes, 2.20.
Okay.
I know for some people that have actually invested in ICO, they will
2.0 is very long. It's very long. It's very, very long.
So if the bank, if for me, this is the deal. Raising capital means they are trying to ensure that they're able to take on more, underwrite more policies. Abi? Yeah. So what that means is that you are playing the long game. I am looking at, under this, I'm not just looking at ICO, I'm looking at ICO, Cardinal Stone, and name. Okay. Name insurance. So these insurance names will definitely go to the market to seek for capitalize, to boost their capital and meet with the deadline. So I want to take advantage. I told you, and everybody on the channel, we try to take advantage of dislocations, and one of which is this. ICO is constantly paying. It's been very, very consistent in paying dividends. So this is not it's not that ICO insurance has lost its. This price action doesn't suggest that it's no longer a valid business. It is still a valid. It is still paying dividend. But the only thing is that, because investors are trying to price in the fact that ICO insurance might go to do a right issue at a lower
so they're trying to sell off.
So they're trying to, you sell
to buy
low, or to sell because you anticipate the price to go down. Yes.
Okay, so we're talking about Transcorp and Transcorp. Okay,
so Transcorp. Transcorp is it's a strong name. Last year it did 544 billion in terms of revenue. So that's a very strong name, and it plays in three critical sectors. You have transnational power, you have hotels, and then you have energy too. Hospitality, which is the hotel, you have the energy itself, and of course you have the so now Transcorp is okay, so that's the price action for Transcorp. If you observe, it has actually been consolidating on the weekly. This is a very strong consolidation on the weekly. So if you look at this, for me, Transcorp represent, and if it's actually held this particular $40 mark, $30 naira mark for a very long time. And if you the bull step in to push up the price. That's why it's been consolidated between 60 and 40. So for me, 44 is very highly discounted.
Okay.
So that to me is a very serious buy input. And by the way,
position to enter.
it's a good position to, because this is, if you look at this as a range from 60 to for 40. That means anything below 50 is actually a good buy position, and it's currently trading at 44.
Okay.
Now, why am I thinking, especially for you, because I know you like dividends a lot.
No, dividend is the core of investment.
So for you, I know you like dividends. Transcorp has been consistently paying dividend. I think it pays above 2 naira per share. For a company that is doing 44, that's almost like a 6 to 7 percent dividend yield.
Okay.
You know, so for me, that's a very good and attractive position for Transcorp. So Transcorp is a good buy for
And
me.
the fundamentals are still strong.
And the fundamentals are strong, because if you look at Transcorp is, I mean, maybe you could think not because Tony Levelu is the one in charge, but Transcorp is, they are very strategic, buying out like Afam, like Gerugu, most of those infrastructures they have actually bought. And then the hotels is doing very fine too. But most importantly, I think the biggest tailwind for Transcorp is the fact that Dangote is going to be giving them access to very cheap energy in terms of petroleum products and gas products and all of that. Yeah. So if you look at that, actually cuts out the cost and would actually lead to very serious margin expansion. I expect Transcorp to actually do very well as the Nigerian energy environment.
We have one to go, and that is FCMB.
Yes.
So let's look at FCMB before we actually conclude.
Okay, so FCMB, I think we discussed FCMB as part of the other banks that people should look at.
Yeah, apart from the full gas.
So, I mean, it's actually been a bloodbath for banks across.
I believe that is right.
But if you look at, there's something I want you to look at. You know, look at this. This is, I mean, for a tier 2 bank, tier 1 banks are doing 7% downdraft. For a tier 2 bank to do 8 point, for that, I think that is, if you ask me, I think it's
they have tried.
They have tried, if you would say that.
Yeah.
But FCMB this is another area of consideration that I would look at too, to buy. That's why I did not buy FCMB today. I still look at this area of consideration. The market, I expect the market to do a little bounce here, because I mean, you have this is consolidation on the weekly time frame. That means that there is a lot of position here that people gathered here, and some people would, especially the buyers, will want to defend this position, because that also tells you that there are a lot of stop losses or stop orders, down here, just below here. So if you would want to, you might actually want to go in at a point just at this consolidation.
That's 10.
But if it escapes, if it actually pushes through this consolidation, then you are looking at this other point to take your entries. Okay. This other somewhere around maybe 9 or entries. Okay. But for me, I don't think that, if you look at this as it actually recently did an all-time, so I think I will still need it to contract a little bit more before I take an entry. All right. But for FCMB, Fidelity, I think those are some of the tier 2 banks that are doing very well. So even for those of you, though, in terms of you cannot compare in terms of dividend payment to the likes of the Transcorp we talked about moments ago. But FCMB is still but I will still raise a little bit. I will look to buy when it gets to this point, because I think at this point it's still premium to me. Because if you look at the range, this is my range from here down to here. So this is 14, for example, while this is 6. If you look at 14 minus 6 is is what?
8.
That is 8. So divided by 2 is what? 4. So 6 plus 4 is 10. So I'll be looking at, that's what I'm saying, we'll be looking at this. I might be looking at this point between this and this. That would be, in fact, this point is where
9%.
this is the equilibrium. So anything, if we were looking at a discounted price action, I'm a value investor, so I'll be looking at something around anything under 10.
All right.
To invest.
Now, you've done very well. We've seen what you've done. Although the market is still red, I'd like you to give a parting word before you go.
So my parting word
because
is,
I know you're a long-term trader.
So yes, that's just a reality. Most of these names are long-term plays. Like they always say, Warren Buffett would say, invest when you are investing. Be greedy when the market is fearful. At this point, the market is very fearful, and be fearful when the market is greedy. That is one of the things. And then I always like a contrarian trade. What I mean by that is when the market is really going down, especially for names that are strong. The fundamental is strong. I look at this as a market dislocation. So I get into this position knowing that once the market, everything clears. That's why you've been talking about Access Bank. I said, yes, I'll continue to buy Access Bank. And the reason for me is because the bank, I believe it is still suffering. It is still being punished by investors for not paying dividends. It is still being punished by investors for its huge and oversized impairment charge. So once everything clears and the bank starts resume paying dividends, then the story will reverse. But I mean, I know a lot of people that would wait for it to be green. Don't wait for it to be green. To invest when it is red and then take profit when it is red. Finally, because if you lump everything on this point, then let me use Access Bank as an example, because I remember when I made that statement, I actually talked about Access Bank. I remember we started talking about Access Bank since it was around 24 point something. And I said very clearly, no matter how much you like an asset, or no matter how much you are convinced about an asset, you should not invest everything. Your target is to ensure that your average buy-in position is as good as possible. How do you ensure that? It is by being sure, or by making sure that you don't invest, you do what we call dollar cost averaging. You invest at certain points. And sometimes it could be time bound or defined by time. Maybe you could say every week or every month you have certain amount to put in. Or it could be based on price. Okay. In my own case, it's based on price. So I set out limit orders that if the price goes down to this point, that ensures that you don't allow emotions to take the better part of you. As a trader, as an investor, you should try to discipline yourself and not work with emotions by setting out these limit orders. Once it gets to that point, the market will not ask you whether you actually want to go into it. Takes you into the position, and then by the time we are clear, you are in very good position.
All right, thank you very much for coming, and we'll keep our eyes on the market.
Thank you.
Till this time again next week. Now, that's the size of our package for today. You see, fundamental analysis is as important as technical analysis. It's not just knowing when to buy, you also know why you are buying, and that's why we are doing this. Now, please, if you want us to actually have a close range with you and a close conversation on any stock or any matter about the stock market, we have a link on our profile page that can actually take you to our Telegram community where we discuss on a close range. Now, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and also put on the notification bell on this channel because of the amazing content we bring. There is always a bull market, and we are here to help you find it.